What is the reason that despite being the world's largest oil producer, America cannot use its own oil? This is like a person who grows wheat on his own land, but has to stretch his hands before others for his own use. In the world we live in, what is visible is often the opposite of reality. Similarly, every year millions of containers go from China to America, but why are they thrown into the trash there? And in the midst of all this, why and how does Iran smuggle Boeing 777s? Welcome once again to ZemTV Videos. Do you know that at any given time there are about 300,000 ships in the ocean? These include oil tankers, LPG, LNG carriers, tugboats, and passenger ships, along with those that drive the global economy. Container ships account for 90% of global trade via sea routes. Estimates say 6,000 to 8,000 container ships are traveling in the sea every passing minute. With the automatic identification system, they can be tracked in real time today. If you visit websites like Marine Traffic, you will see the entire ocean filled with small lights. Every light is a giant ship loaded with goods worth millions of dollars. Most of these container ships start from China and go from Europe to America. Each vessel has an average of 5,000 containers, meaning 40 million are traveling at sea. Everything from our clothes to mobile phones has reached us by traveling in these containers. Everything looks normal on the surface. Goods arrive, and empty containers go back. But the reality is more surprising and worrying. The balance of our world trade is completely disturbed. China sells so much to the world that a flood of filled containers emerges from it. In 2023 alone, China's trade surplus was more than $823 billion. China exported goods worth $3,380 billion and imported goods worth $2,557 billion. The problem starts when containers from China reach America or Europe. China's surplus is $823 billion, while Europe combined is only $41 billion to 95% less. When these containers reach America, everything is skewed. America is the world's largest consumer. There is no balance between imports and exports. America imports more and exports less. This means more containers go there, but there isn't enough cargo to send back. Only 40% of containers arriving at U.S. ports return filled. So where do the other 60% go? You might think they return empty, but that is not the case. Those containers are rotting in junkyards across America. This is because sending an empty container back to China costs about $3,000. Additionally, an empty box takes up space on a ship that could hold a filled container worth millions. China doesn't need used containers for $3,000 because they can manufacture a new one for $2,000 every year. 2.5 million new containers are made, so there is no shortage. What happens to the empty containers stuck in the US and Europe? Many are sold for cheap storage or construction sites. Today, they are used to build houses and offices. When nothing else remains, they are melted to extract steel, as one container holds about 2 tons of steel. Next time you pass a port and see steel containers stacked, remember, it's not just trash, but a unique story of a broken global economy. Now to the question that puzzles experts. America is the world's largest oil producer, so why can't it use its own oil? On the world map, America is currently #1 in oil production, ahead of Saudi Arabia and Russia. But despite this, America is the world's second largest oil importer. It sells its own oil and buys from others for its own use. There are 3 main reasons. First is the difference in oil chemistry. Not all oil is the same. The oil from American soil is light crude oil, which has low viscosity. However, old American refineries were built to process heavy crude oil. These refineries were built when America imported thick oil from Mexico and Venezuela. To refine their own light oil, they would have to change the entire technology, costing over $200 billion. Instead of spending that, they sell their light oil at a high price and buy heavy crude cheaply. The second reason is a logistics crisis. Oil is produced in one place, but refineries are far away. For example, Texas has an ocean of oil, but there are no pipelines to take it to New York or the East Coast. California has become an oil island and is forced to import 70% of its oil from foreign countries due to lack of pipelines. While these reasons were enough, the final nail in the coffin is the Jones Act. During WWI, America faced a problem moving soldiers and goods across the sea because they didn't have enough of their own ships. They used foreign ships, but realized if they ever fought those countries, they would have no trained sailors or ships. The solution was to have American merchant marine ships that could convert to war mode if needed. Senator Wesley Jones introduced a bill stating that to move goods from one U.S. port to another, the ship and crew must be American. Because building a ship in America is 3 times more expensive than in China, and salaries are higher. This law backfired. America has very few ships left to move oil from Texas to New York, and the rent is so high it adds $5 per barrel. Thus, refineries find it cheaper to import oil from other countries than to use domestic oil. A law meant to protect America is slowly eating it from the inside. Regarding Iran, America has imposed sanctions for years, meaning Iran cannot buy or sell to America or its friends. However, you will see a large fleet of American and European planes in Iran's Mahan Air. In 2024-25, Iran surprised the world when 5 Boeing 777s suddenly appeared. This was made possible by years of planning. In the Alice Springs Desert in Australia, there's a giant aircraft graveyard. 5 old but usable Boeing 777s from Singapore Airlines were there. Iran couldn't buy them directly. They were bought through a US-based company called Iron Aviation, then taken to China. They were then sold to a fake company in Madagascar called Udon Aviation. These companies existed only on paper to hide from the US. Once registered under Madagascar, FAA control ended. The planes were brought to Cambodia, where aviation rules are not as strict. In July 2025, they filed a plan to go from Cambodia to Kenya for maintenance. But over Afghan airspace, where monitoring is weak, they turned off transponders and disappeared from radar. Instead of Kenya, they landed in Iranian cities like Chabahar, Zahedan, and Mashhad. By the time the world understood, they were part of Mahan Air's fleet. America can do nothing because the companies involved were registered under fake names. Mahan Air now has 50 to 60 active planes, mostly Airbus and 7 Boeings. These planes land in other countries and use their airspace. Under the Chicago Convention, unless at war, a country cannot stop civilian planes. However, many countries refuse them refueling. If Europe or US allies block Iranian airspace, Iran can block theirs. This would cause significant loss to flights from the Middle East to Europe. Hope you like and share this ZMTV video. Thank you for your comments.